Welcome to Primetime, everybody, and this is the finals of our 61 days of Primetime. This is the 2020's. I'm your host, Aaron Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Kerri. How's it going, guys?
Groovy. We're doing groovy today.
We're doing very groovy.
Right.
Kerri, how you doing?
That's how she's doing. Cool.
Aw.
Sorry. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm doing great. Thank you.
All right. From the 2020's. If you guys want to go back and rewatch the rest of these, it starts from the 30s to the 40s, 50s, 60s, and onward. I am super excited to get into this. Chad, you want to open up with our very first movie?
Yeah, well, first, because this is our very last video in this series that we're doing, I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a recap, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
We are finishing up our 61 days of Primetime 2024. Very stoked.
Technically, it's like 72 days, but
yeah. So we initially, yeah, it's a lot more. We initially devised this list back in. Did we do it in August? I think we did it in like the very late August.
Well, Chad, I'll say we started watching movies in late August, but the first day technically was supposed to be September 1st.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like we devised the list in August.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, we're going to watch all these movies in September, October. We're going to do it like a really, weekly release kind of a deal. And then things happened, and that didn't happen as planned. We had other things going on, stuff like that. Stuff happens. But even though it got delayed, and now we are releasing our final video in the series in December, it's been a blast. It's been a really great time. We picked like mostly movies in this slate that we hadn't seen before. Some classics that we had seen before, but a lot of like new stuff. So I want to keep doing things like this because we find like so many new stuff, and not just specific movies, but we found like Roger Corman was a big director in this series of films that we found that were like, wow, I like Roger Corman movies. Let's watch more of that stuff. And see if we like it. And Vincent Price and a lot of different actors we got to see in the classics, and just movies that I've been meaning to watch too, that are kind of more recent and stuff as well. Really, going through the decades, I think was a very brilliant idea that we had. And we went through we started with the 30s, right? The 30s went to the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now we're at the 2020s, which is the current decade. And now that we're in the 2020s, we're going to go ahead and go through those 6 movies. And then after that, we're going to go over our rankings of those specific movies. And then, because we're at the end of this series, we're going to give our individual overall rankings. And then Kerri was nice enough to create an overall ranking of all 3 of our rankings to try and figure out what's the best of this series, what's the worst of this series, what's in between. And I'm really excited to get there. But first, we're going to cover these 6 movies. And to start it off, we have maybe a gem that got slept on. I'm not sure. It's Underwater, the Kristen Stewart movie. And we'll start with this one with Hunter.
So, yeah, I didn't watch this movie when it came out because I believe this was like right in the middle of the pandemic because it, a lot of stuff happened during that time that we want to forget. So I went into this and I was like, okay, like I like Kristen Stewart as an actress. I think especially she got a bad rap on Twilight, just like Pattinson did. So I think she's been doing a lot of indie horror and indie movies to really show that she's a really great actress. And then you have like John Gallagher Jr., who's really good. So the cast and stuff was there, and I really, really love this movie. It has an aliens type feel to it, but instead of being in outer space, it's underwater, very claustrophobic, very just you can't really see what's going on. You got really great creature designs. And the great thing about this movie is that it gives time to care about each one of our survivors. That way, when something bad does happen to them, you actually care, or at least I cared. I love movies that make you feel like you're very like claustrophobic, because to me that like it adds an additional element of fear, because it's like monsters and jump scares can get you very terrified, but when you're in an area where you can't move or you can move very little without seeing anything, it really adds a lot of tension and a lot of like scary moments that I really really love. I think the ending is incredible. Yeah, this one's pretty high up for me.
Yeah, it's interesting that Hunter really loved this one. I can't say that I loved it. I can't say that I really disliked it either. I think it was somewhere sort of in the middle for me, where I thought that it could have been a lot better, like, for me, where, it could have really got my attention more. It could have got me like my, blood pumping a little bit more. And I just feel like it didn't have the same kind of claustrophobic like cinematography and like filming that something like The Descent had. But even then, I know there are some defenders of this movie, and it's one that not a lot of people have seen, so I didn't really know what to expect from this. I agree with Hunter. I really like Kristen Stewart, in a lot of her indie roles. I even like her in the Twilight series. So, and the other actors are pretty great. Like he mentioned, John Gallagher Jr. There's one guy we won't mention, but he's is one of those kind of like comedian type of presences that's just there to do like comedy, and then you're just like, or have like a comic relief kind of a thing. Ultimately not really needed, I think, in this movie. I think that kind of maybe like held it down a little bit. I don't know, because I have like a deep fear of like underwater stuff. So like that's why like I thought this movie was going to really get me, because it's like deep underwater. There's like really and they can go really inventive with like the creatures and the scares and stuff like that. But I think like what really gets me scared is like really really huge like kaiju type stuff. But like I think that's even more interesting if it's under the water. And I feel like we didn't really get that until like the very very end. And I feel like that kind of like what they were going for was more of a like a boss level kind of a thing. Like you deal with a bunch of little monsters for a little while, and dealing with other like little unique issues that you might have, like pressure, smashing your helmet, and then you get like sucked out or whatever happens, stuff like that. And then at the very end you get the big one, and I felt like that was pretty creepy and stuff like that too. But I don't know, maybe it was just like a pacing issue. Maybe I just didn't really care about the characters as much as like Hunter did, or as much as the movie wanted me to. And I just ultimately really felt like it didn't really go anywhere for me. But I did have moments where I enjoyed watching it. I thought that In Monster was really cool. I just wish maybe it was more like that, where it was like just a lot of like really huge like things, or just seeing something in the distance coming towards you. I don't know. I just was thinking of the things that were in my head that this movie would be were more scary than the stuff that actually happened in the movie. And then I was just like, oh, okay. But so I was a little disappointed, because I thought I was going to like it more. But I'm really glad that Hunter liked it. And then I'm really interested to see what Kerri thought about Underwater.
Yeah. I also thought I was really gonna like this movie because I had heard really good things about it. And I felt a lot more similarly to Chad about this movie. I really honestly did not like it. I think a lot of it just felt like kind of a bad Alien ripoff, I guess. I don't know. Like it just became clear to me at some point that they were doing Alien underwater and not doing it as well as I thought alien underwater could maybe be done. And I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on besides that, like what the issues were, but I don't know. I didn't feel like that connected to the characters really. I know they tried too. I just something about it I couldn't really connect with, and I think there may be some pacing issues as well. Um, yeah, so overall, just like not my favorite, and like there was some weird voiceover in the beginning that never connected. I felt like really to the rest of the movie. Just yeah, I felt the same as you, Chad. I was a little sad I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to. But yeah, I'm glad Hunter liked it because yeah, there are definitely a lot of people who really like this movie.
Oh yeah.
So maybe Chad and I are missing something. But
Yeah. Hunter's not on some like hill where he's
yeah,
like, well, at least I liked it. It's just us. I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, now I kind of want to see Kristen Stewart doing in the Alien franchise. I mean, they're making a new Alien Romulus, so now I'm just kind of maybe wanting to see something like that. But yeah, I just kind of wanted a better movie from this. So. All right, so we're all back, and yeah, well, we're all back, and we're kind of done with our underwater discussion. Let's move on to the next movie, which is 32 Malasaña Street. We can't forget that Inya in there. I always thought it was Malasana, and then I was like, no, there's an Inya in there. I'll start with this one. I don't know. I think I like this one even less than I did Underwater. And the reason being is because, there's really not much to it. It feels almost like I don't know if I don't want to like ruin the plot of a different movie, but if anyone's seen recently Barbarian, it kind of feels like a worse version of that because of the. So I know there's like in this one there's like ghosts or demons or something like that, but with the other movie it's less like that, but like kind of like the concept of someone like wanting children and stuff like that. So that's where I like made that connection. But overall, I just think like it took so long to actually get into any sort of like plot that I just didn't really care like what was going on. And I kind of hate jump scares. I know I'm a horror fan, co-running a horror channel here, but I do dislike jump scares unless they're just really done really well. And I just feel like, like you got me, but you actually earned that. And with this, it just felt like it was just so much setup of jump scare after jump scare after jump scare that I just felt like I wasn't getting anything out of the movie except for just them wanting to go at me, every like 5 minutes. And I feel like if they were to kind of slowly like build a plot like throughout, then maybe like cut to like a scene of the past or something and give us a little snippet of something and then build up to a new scare, like something like the orphanage. If you haven't seen that, check that out. That's like it's got some good scares, but like it's also like a good, really great like dramatic film about like tragedy and stuff like that. And I feel like that's what this wanted to be, something like that. And it just wasn't. Maybe Guillermo del Toro should have directed this movie, and it would have had that like kind of depth that I really wanted. That they tried to give you at the last 20 minutes or something like that, but I just feel like at that point I just stopped caring. I will say there was some really cool imagery and scares in it though. Like there's like this one woman that was like possessed or whatever, and like the way she looked just like really was so off-putting. There's some really good scares with like like a ghost woman who was like huge, and just like really creeped me out. A lot of the jump scares were pretty terrifying, I would say. But I just needed more from this movie, so it just really didn't work for me. And I really wanted it to, because I do like foreign language movies, and it seemed like a cool setup. It just wasn't executed to my liking. Kerri, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I felt pretty similarly. There were some really well done scares in this, I think, and some really cool concepts. But yeah, ultimately, I think the story was really lacking, like trying to pack in some sort of like emotional impact in the last 20 minutes. Really didn't pay off. And the characters who, I guess I'll say the characters who you're supposed to like feel emotion towards at the end, you do not get there like the characters you spend the least time with throughout the rest of the movie, and so you just don't really care at all what happens to them.
Hmm.
I mean, and I think in general it just yeah, it's yeah, so I liked it in some ways. Like the scares were really good, and like I could see maybe like the director putting together like a better film in the future. Um, but yeah, overall, just like especially story wise, there was not enough there, I think.
Yeah, totally. Hunter.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as you guys. I went into this movie wanting to like it more than I did. But also I'm someone who I'm not really a supernatural type fan. Like I
Mhm.
don't really like ghost movies and things like that unless it's done in a way that like captures me. Like I like The Conjuring and things like that, but most of them don't do it for me. So now you add that on top of something that's like not really capturing my attention, and it's just a recipe for disaster. Just because I can't connect to anything in this movie. I don't like the characters. I don't connect with them. It is slow paced, but it's not a good slow pace like a Hereditary or like a Midsommar. It's a boring like tread along, and I kind of wish there was more stuff to get me invested into the story.
Yeah, it looks like we're all on the same page on this one. You know, some cool scares, but ultimately just nothing to really grasp onto. All right, well, let's move on to the next movie then. Maybe something a little bit more interesting, and it is The Dark and the Wicked. Whoa, what a cool poster, huh? All right, Carrie's gonna start with this one.
Yeah, man, I love this one. It was spooky, I thought. The ending, I don't know. I guess by the end I was kind of done. I guess I don't know. I had lost interest, I think, in the last like 15, 20 minutes. I think maybe a little bit could have been cut out of this movie and I would have loved it a little bit more. Although that might just be like a me problem. Like sometimes once things are revealed, like I just kind of check out a little bit. Um, but I really liked this. I thought it was terrifying. I was like, over on the couch, like, ooh, like jumping and stuff. Like, so the scares in this were incredibly well done. Just like the feeling of dread. Like, this is like one, like Chad was talking about, like earning your jump scares. I think this movie earns its jump scares. I think, uh there was like enough story, like the dread just built up so well, the tension. So this was definitely, in my opinion, like if you're looking for just like something really spooky to turn on, like turn off the lights, watch this at night. It'll give you this little scary feelings.
Totally, Hunter.
Yeah, I really like this movie. It's directed by Brian Patino, who directed the first Strangers movie, and you can
Oh,
clearly see that he has a certain style that I just appreciate, like the priest. Again, spoilers. The priest who shows up, or I guess the devil, the demon, whatever, shows up at the door, and he's like silhouetted. That reminds me of Is Tamra home at the doors. So you have like a lot of like similarities between that and the Strangers. I really like his style of like long shots, and you kind of looking in the background and like seeing something move, but you're not sure what it is, and then like you have to like go back and like, all right, did I see something move or is it something else? I like when a director can like put little Easter eggs in the background where you have to watch it a second and a third time to really, really notice it. I like the story. I like the idea of like this family who is not really like talking or connected in a way that should be stronger. And with them being so separated, the possession starts happening, and you start seeing more and more and more stuff happening like that. There was one scene in this movie that really got me terrified. It was when the brother goes home, thinks he sees his family like dead, and then all of a sudden he slits his throat, and then you realize that no one's there, and the demon just played a trick on him. I thought that was really, really well done because the audience isn't sure what's happening at that moment because we see what he's seeing, and then immediately it cuts to nobody's there, and your heart just sinks. I really like. I got very terrified about this movie, and that's a great work of a horror movie.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if I love this as much as you guys did. But I will say, like, of the three that we've talked about so far, it is my favorite of those three.
Mhm.
Because I like you guys are right. I think the scares were very well executed. Um and stuff. It's a very bleak movie. I think a lot of the times those are the ones that I don't really, grasp onto. Like unless
Mhm.
it's something like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, like stuff like that, I can really like go like, no, that's a bleak horror movie that I just think is pretty awesome and great. But some of these other,
Hereditary is another one that's freaking dark.
well, yeah, I mean Ari Aster ones for sure are very dark,
Yeah.
very bleak, and stuff like that. But like I don't know, I think just like his style, like even
Mhm.
Midsommar, which I'm on the record of not loving.
Mhm.
I enjoy a lot of that movie because of his style and stuff. But
Mhm.
with this one, I don't know. I think it's just maybe like a little too bleak at times. It kind of reminded me of When Evil Lurks um, a lot. I remember one time on another horror channel, Why We Love Horror. John Marr, who's a friend of the channel,
Mhm.
did a trivia thing, and he gave somebody a point for this movie, I believe, in association when Evil Lurks, because the plots were like so similar.
It
Is that
was
You know what?
he
Actually,
he had the
go ahead,
plot
Kerri.
for this movie written and read, and someone guessed When Evil Lurks, and he was like, "Yeah, that's also the plot of When Evil
sure? Yeah.
Lurks."
I mean, the plots are very similar. Like when
Yeah.
you that, I immediately started going back, and I was like, yeah, like the plague and like the animal things. Like,
Mm.
yeah, I can clearly see it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's another one that I thought was very interesting and also had a lot of great scares and just was really,
Mhm.
really well done and effective in what it was trying to do. But also one that I'm like, did I like that? I'm not even sure. Kind of a deal. I don't even some movies I'm not even sure if you're supposed to like. Like I have a lot of some friends who are big defenders of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and then I'll go, I'll try to rewatch it again, and then I'll do it, and I'll go, I did not enjoy that one bit, and then they're like, that's the thing, you're not supposed to, and that's why it's great. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do now. But anyways, we'll have a Halloween 2 discussion one day on the channel
Oh
maybe
god.
where we'll
Oh,
have
you
a
know what,
defender on.
Chad? Actually, you should suggest to Matt Chapman. That's a good topic for debate. His like
Ooh.
show, his like soapbox show.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Shout out to my buddy Matt Chapman. His channel Maddie Loves Movies. Where he has a show where he does cinema soapbox, where people can do presentations of stuff. I'll suggest it to my buddy Dylan, who could probably throw that presentation together. But yeah, we'll figure it out. I don't know if that's something he wants to do, but that being said, let's get back into this movie's discussion. Also thinking about, I'm not sure because Kerri didn't watch this one with me, But I did see earlier this year, I saw a Sundance movie online called Handling the Undead, and it's based on a book, and it's kind of like similar to this and how it's like about grief, and it's bleak, and there's a lot of stuff, but it's slower and more like I think dramatic than this. Also features like animal brutality that this one kind of had, but it wasn't. I don't feel like it was like too bad, but they're like
it wasn't as explicit as in some movies.
Yeah, so there's stuff in it also that I just didn't love, and I was kind of like, I also like sometimes will have that dread when I see like a bunch of animals, and I'm like, oh no, what's gonna happen to? So like there was that a little bit, but I didn't feel like this one had that too much where that was like the big thing. I remember Kerri was freaking out with this movie. She's like, I'm like, dude, have you never seen a horror movie before? She was like jumping out of her seat every which way and screaming. So yeah, she had a really
scream.
did, but
no.
Okay, all right. Well,
I still have only screamed during The Descent. I think.
Descent, yeah.
That's fair.
You had a lot of reactions. Let's say that's next time I'll put a camera on you as
yes.
But yeah, there's some really well done scares in it. So ultimately, yeah, I think it's really cool. I did remember I had a lot of like conflicting like emotions because spoiler for the movie now, just real quick, is a lot of stuff's going on in this house with this brother and sister, and then the brother leaves and calls her, just like leaves her alone there with all the scary shit going on, and just leaves her to deal with this, like her dying father and her mother like killed herself.
I actually think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think that was the start of his possession, where it's the demon is trying to separate the brother and sister, because together they're stronger, but once they're separated, they become more weak. I think the idea was that he slowly became possessed because when he gets to the house, the demon already has a latch on his mind. Then he sees his family. Then it's a downward spiral. So I think that was to solidify that the brother is now being different, because in the beginning, he wouldn't just leave his sister that way. You can clearly see he kind of cares about his sister. But then in this moment, it's such a sharp turn of just leaving her there that I think that's supposed to signal that, like, oh, the demon the possession is slowly like taking control of him.
I probably didn't catch on to that. That's probably a really good read that I didn't catch on to. So I just didn't, I was like, well, what a jerk kind of a deal. And then like he went home, saw his family dead, and then he ended up dead, and then his family saw him dead. And part of me was like really sad about it, and then the other part of me was like, well, good, he left her. So no, I'm just kidding. I wasn't happy about that, but no, I was kind of like, well, this piece of shit. But no, yeah, ultimately I thought it was really well done. It was bleak, and if you like that kind of thing, I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, I've also noticed that Brian Patino really loves making very bummer endings to movies. Yeah, like The Strangers and this one are just like so bleak.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like horror filmmakers, have their thing, their style. Yeah, so we all talked about this, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I was just making sure that we actually got there. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next one, which is we're all going to the World's Fair. All right.
I'm very intrigued with this one.
Hunter, you can start with this one.
So, I haven't seen this movie. This was a first time watch for me, but I have seen Joe Schuberg's her latest film, Jane. I'm sorry, yes.
Schoenbrunn, I think.
Yes, there we go. I'm so bad with names.
That could even be a mispronunciation, and the pronouns are they, them.
For Jane. But I saw their newest movie, I saw the TV Glow, and I absolutely loved it. It's probably one of my favorites of this year.
Yeah.
So going into this one, the style is there, and I absolutely love it. It's about this kind of like interactive, like online horror game. Um, and it follows Casey, and what I love is it follows it almost like a YouTube channel, like ongoing series, like a documentary type style of her like vlogging, like her mental like health and like what this game is doing to her. And the ending is really interesting because it's like what all was real and what all was kind of in her head, and like, is it the game messing with her? Is it, there's so many different questions, and I love when a horror movie can end with so many questions, because then I start asking myself, okay, well, what actually happened? And then I go down this rabbit hole. Anna Cobb, I think, did incredible as Casey. She has a lot to do because it's mainly focused on her. And it's like, if she's not good, you're not going to get more like, tied into the character. There's a scene where she is like, she's singing and dancing, all of a sudden she just screams, and it's a slight moment, but it scared me because I wasn't expecting her to like shriek the way she did. And you can't tell if it's, if it's her just slowly going crazy, or if it's, the game like corrupting her in a way. I really love that aspect of it. This one's a very interesting film. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's definitely for me.
Yeah, I'm so conflicted with this movie. Because, no, I mean, Hunter, it's because you started by praising Jane and their movie, I Saw the TV Glow, which is my number 2 of the year. It was my number 1 of 2024 until I saw Wicked, part 1. And so, yeah, I really love Jane's style. I think it's incredible. I just love, like, they're so good at using like music and color and just like this like ethereal kind of quality to their films. And I don't know, it's one that it's a movie that I really really wanted to love, but I think I just am settling for liking it. It's a very kind of like experimental type of movie. It feels like in this like a very low budget kind of film, kind of like like a Blair Witch Project, almost like that kind of level of, it's just a girl in her bedroom doing online stuff. And like kind of the deal of like the creepy pastas and all of these internet like challenges and stuff like that. So I think the style really works. But for me, like, as far as like there being like a story and me really getting into it and like caring about like what this girl is doing and, really believing it, and it has nothing to do with her as like an actress. I just think I just wasn't really buying, like, I'm just watching a kid being silly in her bedroom. Although I understand, like, if you watch it from the maybe she's getting possessed kind of like lens, then maybe it's a little bit more interesting, but I still feel like there wasn't like that much like that really just made me not think that it was just a girl being silly in her room. And then there was the part where she like viciously like destroys her stuffed animal, which
I love that scene.
that I hated it. It made me so sad. I was like, what?
I mean, that's kind of the point though, but then her like coming back and then seeing it on the floor, and she's just like devastated. Oh man, I felt bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to like this one, and I feel like maybe you and Kerri are gonna be like on a total opposite wavelength, and it's so weird because I'm like, I Saw the TV Glow so much is because of like what that has to say about like transness and just its style. I think it's just got a lot more like, I think Jane is just getting so much better in like harnessing their style, with like a bigger budget and just like more of like something to say. And I just feel like this didn't really have much to say ultimately. And it just felt like an attempt to make a movie with very little resources. And so with that, I still feel like, you got so much of their style, but like, I don't know, it just like, I just felt like I was just watching. I don't know. Maybe Kerri can give more perspective to what I was missing. So, Kerri, what did you love about this movie?
What did I love? Yeah, I love this movie for a lot of the same reasons Hunter said. Mainly, like, from my perspective, when I watched this, for me, it was like not clear at all, especially at the end. Was this all fake? Was she playing the online game? Was
Mm-hmm.
she actually getting like possessed by something? Is the game like a real like supernatural type thing? Was she thinking she was like getting possessed by the game, but actually it was just like, she was having some sort of mental break?
Mental
Like,
breakdown.
and I think the movie does not answer those questions at all, like even
Mm-hmm.
remotely. I love the way it ends, like by having it from like the guy's perspective, and like, so you really don't know, like you don't have any more of Casey to like kind of tell you what's going on. Like you
Mm-hmm.
just you have no idea. Like it truly leaves it so open-ended. And yeah, this definitely, like, Jane's style is so unique, and I really liked seeing their style in this movie too. um I think actually, like, on first watch, I like this a little bit more than I saw the TV Glow. But I
Interesting.
think just as like a straightforward story, because to me this is a little bit more straightforward than I saw the TV
Mm-hmm.
Glow. Um, and sometimes I have trouble with storytelling that's not like as straightforward. I
I
don't
do
know.
too.
I'd love to see. I think they would make a great double feature. Just like, um, they complement each other well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
speaking
honest,
of, sorry,
no, go ahead, Hunter.
because Kerri said that these two would make a great like 1-2 like back to back watch. According to Jane, this was the first of the Screen trilogy, which is supposed to be this one, and then I Saw the TV Glow, and then a third one that she's working
Ooh.
on, or they're working on.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, that makes me definitely want to go back and rewatch it to really get like what you guys were seeing in it, because it's
Mm-hmm.
one that I'd heard about like so much even before I saw the TV Glow came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
I
saw
saw. I saw.
the TV Glow, and yeah, like Kerri, I didn't really like grasp it that much like the first time, and then
Mm-hmm.
rewatching it is when I was like, whoa, okay, I'm totally getting so much from I Saw the TV Glow. I think maybe a rewatch could do Kerri well for that, and I think a rewatch of this one could do well for
Mm-hmm.
me, because yeah, I just love their style so much that like, I even when I didn't love I Saw the TV Glow the first time I watched it, and we'll probably do another rewatch, me and Kerri, and then we could like review it on here or something soon.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm so down for that.
but even though I didn't love it like the first time, I just loved the style, like the use of color, the music, and
Mm-hmm.
just the whole package, the performances, and I think that's the same here with We're All Going to the World's Fair. I just think I wasn't really buying what was going on in the
Mm-hmm.
movie, to where it just felt like, me watching a teenager in a room. And I don't know, I think you need that other side, that like believability
Mm-hmm.
of it, to really like go like, whoa, what if it's, and I think I just kind of missed out on that. So I want to give it another watch and see if I can actually love it, because I do really love the style so much that
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be something that I can get down with, because I do know there's a lot of other people who really really like this one as well. And then
Yeah,
there's
these two movies are very divisive among like not critically wise because they like both of them have like really great critic scores, but like general audiences are kind of split on both of these films. I'm not saying you're wrong, Chad. I just see it a little bit differently. To me, the aspect of it feels like you're watching a teenage girl. I think that's kind of the point, is that like it's supposed to be from kind of a vlogger's perspective of like, okay, well, what's going on in her head, and just, you know, using the idea of like, you know, vlogging and like, you know, a day in the life of this person. To me, that makes it scarier because now, you know, she's kind of a teenage girl, and you know that like something is up, but you're not quite sure what is going to happen to her. And then like the moments where like she's at the New Year's ball celebration, she's like, you know, maybe I'll just end it all. You know, she's walking in the streets, completely terrifying because it's a handheld of her phone, and you know that's coming from her perspective, and you don't know if that's the game talking or that's just her mental illness like showing back up on screen in a way that she didn't expect it to.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a good point, and
Mhm.
I usually do love like a day in the life type of movie, but yeah, I don't know, just something in this one just didn't really click like it did with you guys. But
Mhm.
you know, I think because there are so many people who do love this, and you know, because I love their style so much, I do think this is one that I can on a second watch appreciate so much more. I mean, like I said, I saw the TV Glow. I didn't at first, and then now I'm like, I'm so high on that movie. I think it's just so freaking great. So I'm so supportive of Jane, and I think like they have what it takes to come out and like give us the next like best picture. You know, kind of like how like Daniels were when they had Swiss Army Man, which I really liked, and then they did the Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's like they didn't like sacrifice their style. It was like the same kind of style, and yet one movie didn't like really work for a lot of people, and then one was like everyone was like, you know, leaps and bounds in love with. And I think, you know, Jane has kind of like a similar kind of thing where, you know, the next
Mhm.
one, that third one you were talking about, I think, you know, will be something
Yeah.
that will click with a lot of people.
So cool to see like very new directors coming in and giving us very unique and different styles of movies. Like you have like your Robert Eggers, who's really good at like that kind of gothic horror or kind of that um folk was it folk horror that he's
Yeah.
really good at. And then you've got like Ari Aster, his style. Jane has their style. It's
Yeah.
really cool that like in like the 2010s to 2020s, we got this kind of immersion of like so many different types of horror directors.
Yeah, I agree. Very, very excited to see what they all come up with. So now we can move on to another movie that I think is pretty it's pretty awesome. Godzilla minus one. Did I
Yeah.
have to say it like that? No, but I did. Um, Kerri, you okay? Oh, she's wearing a Godzilla shirt.
Yeah. She's
I
showing
have
off her Godzilla
Minus
shirt.
One shirt.
Oh,
Good.
it's a -1 shirt.
This is the
Nice.
one.
Hell yeah. I think I'm starting with this one, right? Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So this movie is awesome. I really, 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 really love Godzilla minus one. I don't have a lot of Godzilla attachment. The very first Godzilla I ever saw was not Godzilla, apparently. It's the one with Matthew Broderick in it. That
The
I
giant
thought,
lizard movie.
yes, the giant lizard movie. That's not Godzilla. If you call that Godzilla to a Godzilla fan, they might slap you. Um, because yeah, it does. It looks nothing like what Godzilla is. It looks so weird. But that was like my first kind of foray into it, and then I watched like one of the like middle, like what is it, Toei Japanese ones, um, and stuff, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And then you know, we on this channel earlier in the our 61 days,
Hmm.
we watched Godzilla. I don't think that was my first time watching the original Godzilla, but maybe like all the way through, and thought it was a really good classic movie. This one, I just think might be. I have no ground to stand on, but it might be the best Godzilla movie ever made. I know you have like other great contenders like Shin Godzilla that we still need to watch,
Hmm.
and I'm sure there's other like great classic ones as you're going through. You know, with a lot of the big team ups and stuff like that, and then you have the whole Americanized series that I think some have pretty good movies. But as I was watching this, I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? I think it might be inappropriate that America made a Godzilla movie at all. Because I'm just like watching through this, and I'm like, this is like an entire culture creating this creature to cope with what happened to them in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, America's the one that did it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
how are they just going to make a Godzilla movie after that? It feels so inappropriate that after thinking about that. And
Several Godzilla movies.
several.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick one, as I said, sort of
new franchise.
And a whole franchise after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That being said, I'm glad that this one came out because people are like, what was like 50 years later, Godzilla finally won an Oscar. Never give up on your dreams. kind of a deal. That whole meme. Where it won Best Visual Effects because this movie looks crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it the first time in color, and then this time we watched it Godzilla Minus One minus color.
The one on Netflix, the black and white version. How is that one? Is that one good as well?
Really cool. Yeah. Because it kind of makes it feel similar to the classic movie, but it's like just like updated effects and stuff. And like what I really like about this one is that because I know in a lot of Godzilla movies, you're waiting for the monster fights and then you have to deal with all the human stuff in between. But this gives you so much great human stuff until while you're waiting for the Godzilla stuff to happen. And then when the Godzilla stuff does happen, it's not only really cool, but it's like deeply sad and terrifying because you care about like the few characters that are central to the story. You have the main character who shirked his like responsibilities where he's supposed to be like a kamikaze pilot, and he doesn't kamikaze. And so, which means to kill yourself in like the name of, for your honor. And so when he goes home and people are like, you're here, like, what? Kind of a deal. And then he's like, basically like put in charge with like raising this like orphan kid, with this like woman who, I guess he feels kind of weird to, but they grow like a relationship and stuff. And so there's a lot of tension there about whether won't they, kind of like a Ross and Rachel situation, I guess. Maybe not. But, and then with the stuff with the kid where he doesn't want her to call him dad, because he doesn't really feel like that, I guess. And you have to like see like the development of him becoming a father, becoming a potential husband, and finding out he really does want to live. He really does want, these people who, well, not necessarily just depend on him. I don't want to say like the woman depends on him, like she's an actual like working character, working like woman and stuff, but like the child depends on him and stuff. And he's like, I want to be there for them and stuff. Cause like for a while you think he's going to fulfill that his destiny of being like a kamikaze pilot and sacrificing himself to kill Godzilla. And then he realizes at the very end was a very cheerworthy moment that, he doesn't need to do that to destroy Godzilla and stuff. And so it's just got a really great story. Sorry I went through the whole plot, but I just think it's really cool, and it's something that needs to be kind of like told to show why this movie is so great. And that Godzilla is just kind of like the surroundingness. It's almost like a wartime movie where a bunch of terrible stuff is happening, but there's this like great story like in the middle of it. And then Godzilla, instead of like just bombs and like, pilots like dropping bombs and stuff like that, it's just Godzilla coming in and you having like his breath that blows everything away. And to show that destruction was terrifying.
That steady scene was awesome.
Oh my God. Awesome and terrifying and sad because, you think she's, thrown away and she like sacrifices herself to save him. which is like, you know, a great moment.
Which you know, if we're being honest, she should have died from that. But you know what? I'm so happy to see her alive at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know what the explanation was. Maybe Kerri knows, but I do think it was a great moment. Like, oh, she's still alive.
Because the door came like flying and like she like flew off screen.
The last thing I want to say, and then I'll give Kerri the reins, is that I love the ending because I laugh every single time. It's a very like deep movie. You're not supposed to laugh, I don't think, but like his plan. Well, first off, their plan is to give Godzilla the bends by like sinking him and then rising him up, and like seeing all these boats come in and helping each other like raise him up and stuff, and seeing him really weak from that is really cool. But then to see him, the pilot, go in and fly the plane straight into Godzilla's mouth, it's just so funny every time for some reason.
The funniest part of it is that it's this like built up moment. All of a sudden the music drops and the plane just hits him. And then there's a pause and then the explosion happens.
Yeah. And then, you know, the cheerworthy moment of he, you know, parachute and stuff, and ejector and all that. Yeah. This is a really great movie. Whether it's in color or not, I think it's just really, really cool. I wish I had seen it in the theater. I didn't really get to, but I think it's still great at home. But that being said, Kerri, she's been patiently but anxiously waiting to speak.
Oh yeah, okay. So the end, when she's alive, you see at the end there's like something black like creeping up her neck. So
that's right.
Explained like, but I don't know if it could be like
she's
pieces
a
of Godzilla, like basically brought her back, and like because Godzilla, you see, I think is gonna come back, and
that's right. There is a sequel tease at the very end with Godzilla. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie's like absolutely incredible. Like you said, Chad, it's like visually stunning. The score is fantastic. The acting is phenomenal. And like the characters are great. Even the minor characters, you just very quickly learn to grow to love them and care about them. And like the Godzilla design is so cool. Like he's so gigantic, but like they use that really like that original, like inspired by that original design. He looks like you could pop him into that original Godzilla movie almost for a lot of it. And like how slowly he walks through, but then like when the spikes come up and he's like charging up and about to roar, it's like it's the most terrifying thing. I mean, even when he's walking through the city, it's like it's so slow and stuff, but it's also still really terrifying because you see him like just like knocking out entire buildings, and like
you got the music that dun dun.
Yeah.
Kerri and I were Kerri and I were talking about like when he's sitting there waiting in the water, like doggy paddling, kind of adorable. We're like, well, Godzilla's kind of cute.
His face is kind of cute.
I went, aw, when he was just sitting there like dun, dun.
But you even care so much when he's like destroying the city, like because you have seen how like devastated that city just was. They had just started to rebuild and get things kind of back to like, you know, some sort of like new normal, and then Godzilla goes and just like tears it all down and devastates it. And it's it's an absolutely brilliant movie. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Chad. It might be the best Godzilla movie. We're saying that having not seen Shin Godzilla or like a decent like most of the other Godzilla.
I think we own most of them on because we have like we have a big Criterion set of Godzilla movies, and I think we do have Shin Godzilla. It's just we haven't like gone through them, but I really, really want to. So
yeah,
one day we'll maybe be able to say Godzilla Minus One is the best Godzilla movie with an informed opinion.
Yes.
Hunter.
Is it on to me?
Yeah.
So I absolutely love this movie, man. I did myself and Alec Miller did a breakdown of this movie on Sinister's Horror Stash, and we have way more like in-depth conversations over there as well. So go check that one out as well. But the themes I love the most. It's about survivor's guilt. It's about, this guy who, feels so horrible that he couldn't do what his country needed him to do, and he felt some sort of pride in or lack of pride, to be like, do I even deserve to be alive after, running away and being scared? And that central plot at the beginning goes all the way through the movie with him, you know, at first like so scared of like being a kamikaze pilot, which anybody would, and then he meets the girl. I believe her name is. Give me 1 second so I can look it up.
Noriko, yeah.
Yes, Noriko. And he's like, can I be a father? And the father dynamic of like, okay, now he has something to live for, but the idea of like, now I have to really come back and really decide to put my life on the line to again save my country, with the Godzilla attack, and the way that they go about it, and like especially the ending where you think he did it, you think he sacrificed his life to save everybody, and then that slight moment of him coming down with the ejector seat, you're like, you're cheering and you're yelling because you really care about that character. I also got a lot of Jaws references, and like it felt like a Jaws movie, especially with them, the group of friends on the boat, and like they have to fight this big giant sea creature. So I definitely love that. It has a great mixture of like adventure and horror and drama that really really works well with each other. I'm so glad it won the Oscar for best visual effects, because the effects were brilliant. Like, and not only the effects itself were really good, but the budget they had it on as well. The budget was between $10 and $15 million.
What?
Yes.
I keep forgetting that.
It's a low budget movie.
Wow.
It's insane that like we're spending $200 million over here, and they can do
More
that
than
with a $10 million budget.
More than
It's
that,
insane.
Yeah, and it had it went up, I think, against a lot of like really other like great movies like Guardians 3 and stuff. That also had a lot of great effects. So that's just going to show you just how good these effects were, like on that tight budget too. Is just how kind of a deal. So that's really cool.
And the acting was extraordinary.
Well, I will say, like, the only like maybe kind of slight negative is that little girl is so young that like a lot of the times we were just like, what is she doing right now? Kind of almost like they were just so like,
cute.
Just be a cute little girl, and that's all we need, and that's what we got.
I like her. I thought her crime was good and realistic.
It's like it's almost like she was like going for the Oscar with her like,
But I was telling Chad how she did her face, where she just like goes like before you even hear. Like, that's how Elliot cries too.
So maybe it's a little too realistic because she was just being a little girl, a little baby. But yeah, we all love this movie. I think it's pretty incredible. Let's move on to the next one, which is our last movie that we're discussing of this slate. I'm very excited to discuss this one because it's our final one, and it is Influencer. And Kerri will start with this one.
Yeah, this was a pretty fun one. I think that's how you described it, Hunter, to us. That was pretty fun. And I did think it was pretty fun. Like the concept of like, and there's like a similar in the concept of like a horror movie about influencers and how their lives are not really what you think, and you really don't know who they are, called Sissy, which is also very good. This one was cool though. It's kind of like a slasher pick, and like you think one character is going to be the main character throughout the movie, and then it kind of turns and the serial killer villain becomes the main character. So I thought that was like a really cool twist. It was beautifully shot, like the scenery was gorgeous. The plot was pretty interesting, like, and I love the ending. I think my primary issue, I feel like, was kind of pacing. Like, I did feel like it dragged just a little bit. But I mean, I think overall this was a really fun movie.
Nice. Hunter.
Yeah, so this was a watch that I put on for the first time because I heard that James and Chelsea from Dead Meat really liked it. So I was like, okay, you know, this is one that I've been meaning to check out. I have an opportunity to put it on the list, so let's do it. And yeah, I had fun with this movie, man. I love this movie. Does one thing that I love that newer movies are doing, which is they delay the title card sequences to like 35 minutes into the movie. And I love it because you start off with this great cold opening and you're following this influencer and you get to see her live. And then she meets CW, our villain. And then, like, right after that, our title card happens. And now we're following a completely different story. It's like her taking over the lives of these influencers. And I think it's interesting the way they took, you know, being an influencer and not only having to balance, you know, your work with your vacation time or your work with meeting other people and like how that could be very, you know, intimidating. But the way that CW says she hates social media, but is really good at like pretending to be somebody else. You know, it's the idea of catfishing somebody, which is, you know, a real term thing. And I love that they did that. Sorry, Kerri, you were going to say something.
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to add, like, just jumping off of what you said, like, I did like how this movie showed, like, especially with AI and things, like, but even just like the scenes with just the influencer, you know, before her account gets taken over, but you really just do not know these people, like what they're presenting to you, you just have no idea if it's true or not, if this is like the person who they say they are, like. Anyways, sorry for interrupting.
No, it's great. Great point, by the way. But I love how there's a character that is like kind of friends with our influencer and then friends with her, I guess, ex-boyfriend. I love the way that they use him sparingly, but his scenes are so funny because it's like the one moment he's like consoling the influencer, the other time he's consoling the boyfriend, and then at the end when CW tries to, you know, frame him and say that, oh, he abused me, he's like, yeah, you know, I never trusted him. Like, you can see how two-faced that character is just in like, you know, a few scenes in the movie. And I think that's a really well done because people do that, you know, they go on trends when they don't really know the full story, or they're using this real story to get more clout, to get more famous. I don't know. I had a really good time with this movie. It's not a very deep movie, but it's a very entertaining movie with some really good scenery, as Kerri said.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Influencer. I thought that it was like so scary and like, you know, in a way that's just so realistic that I'm just like kind of afraid. Like I've had people I know just like message me like stuff that I'm like, I gotta message this person in a different like format to try and figure out like, hey, did you message me on this thing? Like, 'cause that seemed kind of weird, like kind of a deal. And this movie makes me even more paranoid that like someone could be texting, you know, someone from someone I know's account and, you know, just tricking me and stuff. And you have so many like scammers out there sending out spam emails and texts and so many different ways people are trying to like get you now. And I just feel like, you know, someone going to like this extreme level that it's just like what she does, it's like just her job that she does now. And stuff. And I just thought it was like a really cool like setup, the way they, like Kerri was talking about, where they had a main character and then it just switched to her. and you're just following the killer for a while. And Cassandra Nod, who plays CW, I think is so incredible because I love when you have like a character that's just so kind of reminded me a little bit of I don't think you guys have seen Ingrid Goes West, but like Aubrey Plaza's character in that, just so crazy and just so like kind of like determined to get what they want that they'll just go to any lengths to do it.
Mhm.
And you really get to see her, like, she almost fails so many times and then she's able to get the upper hand until the very end. Which I love that whole setup where you're like wondering like what's gonna happen, like what's the when's the other shoe gonna drop, when does this actually become a horror movie.
Like,
um,
where's Madison at? That's my question the
well,
entire time. Like, did they just kill her off the first 40 minutes? Because that would have been interesting too.
yeah, well, I mean, what I was talking about was like that first, like,
Oh,
was
yeah,
it
the first
40
30
minutes
minutes.
or first like 20-30 minute, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was like 35 minutes into the movie.
Which is crazy.
Mhm.
Finally get on the island, and I was like wondering, is this going to be kind of like The Shallows, kind of movie? Because it kind of gave me that vibe at the very beginning, and then
Love that CW tells Madison exactly what she's gonna do,
yeah, it
and
became
you can't tell if she's kidding or not.
exactly, yeah, and you don't know, but then you're like, well, this is a horror movie, so this is
Mhm.
she's probably actually just telling her what's going to happen, and then
Yeah.
she does exactly what she said. um and I love that's like when the credits happen. It kind of reminded me of like Drive My Car kind of a thing, like you know 30 minutes into the movie, now the credits are happening, kind of a deal. Like this is where the movie begins. The other thing was a preamble
Mhm.
or whatever first. And then you get to the the whole thing with following her. I just think she was like so incredible with and so scary. Like I just like thought about like if I ever came across somebody like that, I'd probably just be dead because like they just so like unassuming. Like you think just like pretty girl in like a foreign country, and then like done, you're done, kind of a deal. She's gotcha. And then like the whole whoa and then like the whole thing about uh just not knowing who people are online is just really really scary. So yeah, and then as Hunter was talking about the idea of going back to the island where you left someone, and twist, what a twist, she's still alive, and then she ends up surviving and stranding the killer on the island. I just thought that was such a cool twist. I called it, like she's going back to the island. That girl's going to be alive. There's no way she's just dead.
Yeah.
And I loved how that character that we didn't get to see much of except for like the very beginning, like I guess the first 20-30 minutes, and then you get to see that she was a survivor and she was able to, you don't really can't tell too much like how she was able to survive, but I just love how like the whole castaway part where she's stranded on the island and you figure out like how she's surviving and stuff like that. You don't get to see that part. You just get to see the aftermath of her on the island. I just thought that was really cool too. So yeah, I don't know. I thought this movie is just really well set up and really well done. Um, so I like the influencer quite a bit. I think we're all pretty much on the same page as a really really fun movie. All right, yeah. So I mean, I guess we're done talking about all the movies. Oh my god, I can't believe we did we just talked about 62 movies in this series.
Mhm.
It took way longer than we thought, but we did it. We finished it, and because we always do what we say, kind of. It's a Tim Robinson thing. I'll stop. Yeah. So now we're gonna go through our individual rankings, and then Kerri will what?
Well, let's do our 2020's rankings first.
Oh, that's right. We're
Yeah.
gonna do our ranking of the 2020s films, and then we're gonna do our individual rankings, and then Kerri will do the overall ranking.
Mhm.
So first, Hunter.
All right. My number 6 is 32 Malasaña Street, is that how you say it? I am completely butchering it.
Malasaña.
Malasaña Street. Number 5 is The Dark and the Wicked. Number 4 is Influencer. Number 3 is Underwater. Number 2, We're All Going to the World's Fair. And number 1, Godzilla Minus One.
Nice. Mine is, I do this a little differently, so bear with me. My 6 is 32 Malasaña Street. My 5 is Underwater. My 4 is We're All Going to the World's Fair. My 3 is The Dark and the Wicked. My 2, actually, I probably could swap those, to be honest. I think those are a little interchangeable for me. But my 2 is Influencer, and my 1 is Godzilla Minus One. Kerri, what's your ranking?
All right, my number 6 is Underwater. My number 5 is 32 Malasaña Street. My number 4 is Influencer. My number 3 is We're All Going to the World's Fair. My number 2 is The Dark and the Wicked, and my number 1 is Godzilla Minus One.
Hey, we all agree on at least one.
We all agree on that one.
Yeah.
So perfect. All right. That's a great ranking. Now, Hunter. Hunter's going to start with his individual ranking, but his is a little bit less. It's 6 less than ours because he watched. He wasn't there for one of the slates,
1940s.
the 1940s, but that's okay. What's your list?
All right, so I'm gonna go from 56 to 1 just because anticipation. My number 56 is The Final. 55 is Mother Riley Meets the Vampires. Number 54 is White Zombie. 53, The Amazing Transparent Man. 52, The Dunwich Horrors. 51, Inferno. 50, Two Evil Eyes. 49, Dark Angel. 48, The Coven. 47, Dr. X. 46, Savage Intruders. 45, Ringu Zero. 44, 32, Malasaña Street. 43, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. 42, Pitch Black. 41, Buried. 40, Deadline. M39. 38, Eyes Without a Face. 37, Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. 36, The Last House on the Left. 35, My Boyfriend's Back. Number 34, The Tingler. Strangers on a Train. Sisters. My Bloody Valentine. 30 is Dark Water. 29 is A Bucket of Blood. 28 is Godzilla. Then you have Peeping Tom, The Invisible Man, Freaks, Little Shop of Horrors, The Changeling, The Loved Ones, Hocus Pocus at 21, Serial Mom at 20, 19, Frankenstein, the original, 18, We're All Going to the World's Fair, 17, From Dusk Till Dawn, 16, Rosemary's Baby, 15, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 14, Influencer, 13, Underwater, 12, The Wailing, 11, Onibaba, and then my top 10, 10, The Dark and the Wicked, 9, The Descent, 8, Godzilla Minus One, 7, The Wicker Man, 6, Audition, 5, Let the Right One In, 4, Train to Busan, 3, Halloween, 2, Oculus, and 1, Beetlejuice.
Whoa! Man, your 2 and 1 are like doozies. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oculus is 2. That's so cool.
I love Oculus, man. It's so good.
That you love that movie that much. And yeah, Beetlejuice is a classic. So all right, I'll go through my ranking. Kerri, what do you? Oh, she has got a blanket. It looks like she's cradling a baby, but she's got a.
Oh, no, it's a blanket.
Just the way it looks was weird. I was like, "Did she have another baby without telling me?"
She kidnapped a child.
Oh God.
All right, my numbers, because I'm going from 62 to 1. 62 is The Convent. 61 is The Final. 60 is The Amazing Transparent Man. 59 is The Devil Bat. 58 is White Zombie. 57 is The Dunwich Horror. 56 is Dr. X. 55 is Savage Intruder. 54 is 32 Malasaña Street. 53 is The Ghost Breakers. 52 is Mother Riley Meets the Vampire. 51 is Deadline. 50 is Inferno. 49 is Ring Zero. 48 is Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I know, I'm sorry. 47 is The Town That Dreaded Sundown. 46 is Dark Angel. 45 is From Dusk Till Dawn. 44 is Pitch Black. 43 is The Invisible Man. 42 is Peeping Tom. 41 is Underwater. 40 is We're All Going to the World's Fair. 39 is The Last House on the Left. 38 is Two Evil Eyes. 37 is The Dark and the Wicked. 36 is The Wicker Man, the original. 35 is original Godzilla. 34 is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 33 is The Tingler. 32 is Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. 31 is My Bloody Valentine. 30 is Buried. 29 is Dark Water. 28 is My Boyfriend's Back. 27 is The Loved Ones. 26 is Serial Mom. 25 is Oculus. 24 is Frankenstein. 23 is Dead of Night. 22 is A Bucket of Blood. 21 is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original. 20 is Sisters. 19 is Influencer. And I'm sorry, guys, 18 is Beetlejuice. 17 is The Little Shop of Horrors. 16 is Cat People. 15 is Oni Baba. 14 is The Descent. Audition is my 13. The Wailing is my 12. Hocus Pocus is my 11, which I really wanted to put that one in my 10, but I was
that's surprising, actually.
So many great ones. I mean, my top like 25 are movies, or 26 are movies that are 28 really are movies that I adore. But yeah, here's my top 10, which is 10 is M, 9 is Freaks, 8 is Eyes Without a Face, 7 is The Changeling, 6 is Godzilla Minus One, 5 is Strangers on a Train, 4 is Let the Right One In, 3 is Rosemary's Baby, 2 is Train to Busan, and number 1, maybe the greatest horror film ever made, is John Carpenter's Halloween.
Nice.
Kerri, what is your 62 ranked?
All right. So my number 62 is The Amazing Transparent Man. And then I'm just gonna go in order from 62 to 1, and I'll just say numbers like every so often.
Yeah, that's
Number
fine.
61 is The Final, Savage Intruder, White Zombie, The Dunwich Horror, The Loved Ones, Pitch Black, The Convent, Underwater, Peeping Tom, Inferno, Dark Angel, At 5032 Malasaña Street, Oni Baba, Dr. X, The Invisible Man, The Devil Bat, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Buried, Eyes Without a Face, The Ghost Breakers, Mother Riley Meets the Vampire, The Tingler, Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2, Deadline, Two Evil Eyes, Influencer, Ring Zero, My Bloody Valentine, We're All Going to the World's Fair, Audition, At 30, The Last House on the Left, at 29, I'm sorry guys, Let the Right One In.
Whoa, okay.
I did not really like it. It's still amazing, but I did not like it as much on a rewatch. Frankenstein, Godzilla, A Bucket of Blood, The Little Shop of Horrors, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Dead of Night, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Sisters, At 20, From Dusk Till Dawn, The Dark and the Wicked, Oculus, My Boyfriend's Back, Hocus Pocus at 16, The Changeling, The Wicker Man, Dark Water, Cat People, Freaks, and then my top 10, 10 Strangers on a Train, 9 Godzilla Minus One, 8 The Descent, 7 M, 6 Serial Mom, 5 Train to Busan, 4 The Wailing, 3 Beetlejuice, 2 Rosemary's Baby, and number 1 Halloween.
Wow.
Nice.
I like how different kind of they all are and stuff. That's a really cool set of lists.
Our top 10 was so different because I have Oculus so far up.
That surprised me because as much as I'm a Flanistan, I love Mike Flanagan so much. I Oculus, and I can't wait to do like a ranking of all of his stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's like all of it together. I think Oculus while still like a great movie, is like a little bit lower down for me. So
Yeah, same.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Kerri, what is our overall ranking?
All right. Okay, so this is
And
all
thank-
of our scores
and
averaged up.
I just want to say thank you for doing this, by the way. It must have
Oh,
been a lot.
Yeah.
yeah. No problem. All right. So at 62, the final, no surprises.
Of course.
61, The Amazing Transparent Man. 60, White Zombie. 59, The Dunwich Horror. 58, The Convent. 57, Savage Intruder. 56, The Devil Bat. 55, Inferno. 54, Dr. X. 53, 32, Malasaña Street. 52, Mother Riley Meets the Vampire. 51, Dark Angel. 50, Pitch Black. 49, The Ghost Breakers. 48, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. 47, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. 46, Ring Zero. 45, Deadline. 44, Two Evil Eyes. 43, Peeping Tom. 42, The Invisible Man. 41, Buried. 40, Underwater. 39, Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. 38, The Tingler. 37, The Loved Ones. 36, The Last House on the Left. 35, My Bloody Valentine. 34, Godzilla. 33, We're All Going to the World's Fair. 32, Eyes Without a Face. And sorry, that's so low. I think that was me. 31, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 30, From Dusk Till Dawn. 29, My Boyfriend's Back. 28, A Bucket of Blood. 27, Onibaba. 26, Sisters. 25, Dark Water. 24, Frankenstein. 23, Dead of Night. 22, Influencer. 21, The Little Shop of Horrors. 20, The Dark and the Wicked. 19, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. 18, The Wicker Man. 17, M. 16, Serial Mom. 15, Audition. 14, Strangers on a Train. 13, Hocus Pocus. 12, Freaks. 11, The Changeling. All right, in our top 10.
Here we
At
go.
10, Oculus. 9, Cat People. 8, Let the Right One In. 7, The Descent. 6, The Wailing. 5, Godzilla Minus One. 4, Beetlejuice. 3, Rosemary's Baby. 2, Train to Busan. And number 1 is Halloween.
What a top
Yeah.
10, man.
You kept my top 3. It was the same as the overall top 3. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah. Wow. Guys, I'm so
We
proud
did it.
of us. We
Yeah.
did it. We said put a list of 60 movies, and then of course we always do like Kerri and I always do like Halloween and Hocus
Halloween,
Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
So it was really 60 movies, and then we were like tag 2 on.
Mhm.
So it ended up being like 62 days, I guess technically, but you could say we watched 2 in one day, and it doesn't matter. We did it. It took us like 3 months to get it done. Over 3 months, but that being said, we did it. We had a lot of fun. We saw a lot of new stuff. I can't wait to like do something like this again. I can wait, but I also can't wait because I really, really fun. We may do it a little bit differently next time.
Mhm.
But we'll see. I don't think it was that bad that it took us a little bit longer than expected because we saw a lot of great movies, and I hope that we were able to give a lot of the watchers some good recommendations. Hopefully, it wouldn't spoil too much for you, but some of the movies we just had to talk about spoilers. So,
Oh yeah.
it is what it is. And yeah, do you guys have any last thoughts on this series?
Kerri?
This was so fun. I know it was like a lot of work and a lot of like, we have to like make sure we get this done and watch it. And we were maybe a little too ambitious in picking 61 movies. But I loved how we did this. I love that we did movies from every decade. I
Yeah.
got like so many movies cleared off of my watch list, like so much stuff I've been wanting to see for a long time. And I'm sorry for making you guys watch so many bad movies. That was all me.
You never know until you watch them. You know,
Yep.
sometimes you go, actually, that wasn't that bad.
Man, the final was something else though.
That was bad.
But
That
I will
was
say,
bad.
Kerri, I did love how, like you were kind of saying, it sometimes it being so rigid, like we got to get these 6 movies done for this next series to make sure everyone's watching them and stuff. So it is a little hard, but I also felt that because it was so rigid, it was like I like having like a project to do. So I just think that that was really fun to do these. And we're all talking about the same movies. And I like doing each episode we're talking about 6 movies, so we can kind of like, you know, spend a few minutes on this one, that one, and you know, kind of get them all done in like one video. So
yeah, I love doing the series because it forced me, like, not in a bad way, but it forced me to like sit down and watch movies that like I would probably have never watched or never even heard of, and it expanded my horror knowledge even more because it was like, you know, I had heard how great, you know, Audition is. Like I love Audition, or you know, I've heard how great Oculus is. I just haven't watched it. Now, you know, I got to watch it, and it, you know, it's my number 2 on my 62 movies.
wow.
It allowed me to like expand my horror like watching ability, because now, like, you know, I know, okay, I have to watch these 6 movies. Some of them I'm not gonna like. That's just, you know, that's odds. But it made me want to pay attention to all the movies, be able to come in here and talk about it, you know, in a way that like, you know, is not just like surface level.
Yeah, and sometimes we had fun talking about the bad ones. Like,
Yeah.
what was that kind of a deal? So, you know, and then when the great ones, you're sometimes like, I don't know what there is to say. It's great.
Mhm.
It is.
So with this out of the way now, we can finally focus on the Primetime Awards as well, which I am super excited to get into that for the new year, 2025. So yes, we're going to go through that. We're looking for January, but it could be February. Right now, it's up in the air. But you're definitely going to get a Primetime Award for 2025.
Yeah, we've done the awards before, and we're trying to hone it in, streamline it, and trying to make it like something epic that, you know, is very like we're trying to actually like watch through a lot of the movies and get like a lot of really great like nominees and different categories that we're doing, like some new and stuff, and really trying to flesh this out as something that, you know, people can really enjoy watching, maybe get some like other like, you know, friends and stuff to help present awards and things like that. So we're working on a lot of stuff like behind the scenes to try and get this to be, you know, something really fun, like a lot of like audience participation and stuff like that, and just really kind of, you know, love on horror movies, because the mainstream awards don't give them the recognition generally that, you know, they
No,
should.
they don't.
So you know, you got
I will also say, last year, our first year we did it, we had 8 categories. We've expanded that to either 12 or 13 categories with 10 nominees each. It's been a stacked year for 2024 in horror, so we're not going to have trouble coming up with nominations. I've got so many great ideas like coming through my head of like, you know, getting presenters set up and like coming up with like, you know, the voter boards and just so many fun ideas that I can't wait to hopefully put into, you know, perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun time. I know, you know, Kerri's a woman of few words right now, but she's really excited about the awards too.
I am. I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm excited about the awards as well.
Yeah. And so I'm excited to now have time to go watch some of these new 2024 movies that you know, we still haven't seen. So we can actually like, you know, have some good nominees in there and stuff. And so yeah, look out for our primetime awards. And then, you know, next year we are looking into starting back up our decades bracket series. It's taken a long time, but I think it's a pretty epic thing. We're trying to figure out what's the best horror movie of all time. So if you haven't seen a lot of those videos and you haven't seen the other videos like in this series, go back, watch those, watch the decade bracket series we've been doing, because we've been going through the decades, like going through like a lot of the movies that are, supposed to be fantastic in each decade, to boil it down to a great list of like, what is it, like 64? No, 32.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But
it's 64 because it's 32 and 32.
Right. Yes. So we're going to have like a great big list of like the final movies that have won like the top 8 of like each decade. So that's right.
We have very like grandeur plans. Sometimes they take a while to execute, but we're getting there.
Which is fine. We all have lives, but we're getting it done, and I'm really excited to follow through on that and some other things we're working out. But we should go ahead and end this video, because we're just excited that it's done. Hunter, you want to close it out?
Yeah, so if you guys did enjoy this, please hit that like button, subscribe to Welcome to Primetime, and remember, stay scared.